Is the Supreme Court on the Epstein's list? Let's talk about it. Hey, I'm Darren Monroe. I used to work for Kamala Harris's campaign, engagement campaign, and I did 30 years marketing and branding for Universal DreamWorks, MCA, and a whole lot of other big companies. The last one was iHeartMedia, back then called Clear Channel Radio. I help take people from chaos to clarity on this channel, but I also have a private group that is totally safe and a safe space to talk and grow and understand what's going on so you can go from chaos to clarity. Make sure it's called the Clarity Group. I have a Moneymaker group. The links are in my description. Don't get in my comments asking for links. Links in the description, or go to the homepage of my channel and you can see the links. Okay? Let's talk about this with the Supreme Court. Let's talk. Let's talk. I have said that something is up with, and listen to the end, listen to the end, because this is going to get a little deep. I have said to everyone that this was going to be an investigation. And what I mean by that is, in the Clarity Group, I have something called the 8 investigations of Donald Trump administration. You know, things like the 2024 election and some other things. But the reason I brought it up now and I wanted to talk about this is there's an open conversation happening about what is happening with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court keeps having these judgments that basically cuts off its own power. That's why we're looking like, wait a minute. It's not ideology. They're conservatives. Of course, they're going to be against things. That's why they turned Roe versus Wade around. That's why they had all of these fights back and forth about, certain liberal versus conservative values. But this Supreme Court's a little different. They've been having discussions and doing things like Justice Roberts ruling on certain things where he just cuts things off automatically, where he's actually fought back and forth with Trump a couple of times. So it ain't a case of all the Supreme Court just being on Trump's side, because if you look at the record for the last 33 weeks, it has not been that case. It's just they've ruled on some really big cases that are really fucked up. You telling somebody, that you can racially discriminate against them? You saying one moment, well, ICE, if they do anything wrong, well, they're going to have a class action suit against them. But when it goes to the Supreme Court, they waive it off. Or things like the Alien Enemies Act, or, it just goes on and on. There's issues here that they have that tells us something's up. Also, when you cut the national injunctions from the lower court, you declared war between the lower courts and upper courts. And I have something in the Clarity Group called the 5 Wars, and one of which is in the judicial branch between the 677 judges that are in the lower court across 94 districts in 50 states. In the lower courts, the appeals court, and then you got the Supreme Court. And we're sitting here like, well, wait a minute, man, something ain't right. There's an inner fight going on, fight going on between the lower courts and upper courts. Lower courts have been really on our side because, frankly, Trump has just broken the law. This ain't even ideology no more. This is like, fuck it. That's what it is. It's like, fuck it. And so we're looking and we're like, wait a minute. Why would they cut their own powers in the judicial branch? What the fuck is up? Now, who would be doing an investigation like that? I'm going to give you something free. I usually have in the Clarity Group, but there's a whole bunch I got in the Clarity Group coming. I just did one on Charlie Kirk. You definitely want to see that. Here's the thing. What we're looking at right now is a really, really big fight that's taking place within the judicial branch. Lower courts, Supreme Courts, they won the lower court's like, wait a minute, we got a problem. You got the liberal justices, Meyer and Jackson, out there in interviews for books or just interviews on View and other places saying, something ain't right. Something, and they say it in their own language very carefully. You got lower court judges that are protecting their identities, getting on the news saying, "Oh man, this the fuck this." That ain't never happened, y'all. That ain't never ever happened. So we know something is up. This Epstein list has been a pariah. And what I talk about in the back end of the Clarity Group, and I'll talk about it here a little bit, because I don't want to get my content flagged, but I'll talk about it. And that is that the Epstein list permeates all levels and all people. Because what we're talking about is something that exists in every neighborhood and every society. And nobody wants to talk about it. And so it becomes a very uncomfortable conversation about molesting, pedophiles, and other wrong things that are happening within our culture. When I say our culture, I'm not talking about just American culture. I'm talking internationally. There ain't a country that don't deal with this. What country doesn't have drugs? Now, I'm not saying what country has made drugs illegal. I'm talking about what country doesn't have drugs, hard drugs. There's always some place that people can get hard drugs from, somewhere, somehow. Same thing with guns. Even in Europe, in England where guns are illegal, they say, well, guns are illegal, yeah. But you got those gangsters paying thousands of dollars. Like, I hear a Glock goes for $4,000. A Glock at the highest is probably about 700. It could go down to as low as 400. And it's like Glock goes for next to nothing. There's armament people who are making a fortune off that. I'm saying. What I'm trying to get you to grasp onto is that there are 4 things being moved. Human sex trafficking, okay, men and women, and boys and girls. There are drugs being moved of all kind, whatever the popular ones are, fentanyl, blah, blah, cocaine, whatever. And then there is the money. Let's talk the guns and then the money. Money's being laundered, guns being moved, and this is a big deal. It's much bigger than that. And when you take it back to the justices, there's been all sorts of networks, not just Epstein, but others who have enticed them. Look at the way that Clarence Thomas fell for this stuff. Clarence Thomas has gone over on trips. That's the least we've heard. So all you think that Trump's just trying to protect himself, eh? No, he's trying to protect the whole society. There's something they got on them or their relatives that are making them act against the very Constitution, the very Constitution and the very core of their legal standing in the judicial branch. Something's up. Could it be Epstein? Yeah, it could be. But I want you to think about the following things as I go near the end of this video, is that there are out there a ton of vices that people could have done, made move on, messed up. And Trump's administration are experts at pressuring people politically and doing this. Could they have done this the right way to the Supreme Court? Could they have put the pressure on them? A lot of people are looking. So I told you I'd give you a free one, and that's why I said wait to the end. Here's the deal. I basically show in the Clarity Group, talk about things like that. What kind of investigations are happening? Do you know that there are 5 civil wars? One of them I just mentioned, the judicial branch. There's another one, the wealthy. Now, you think all the wealthy people like Trump? They're 900 billionaires. I guarantee you the majority of them can't stand his ass. All of them are not on their side. No. Don't you think that. Here's the other big misconception. There are 20 plus millionaires in this country. Again, not all on his side. The famous ones like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Mark Cuban, the founder of LinkedIn, the founder of Craigslist, they totally are not on these dudes' side. Guarantee you. And there's a whole bunch more. Whole bunch more. And it's not that they're necessarily liberals or Democrats. It's just that they believe in democracy and they know that this guy is screwing up the economy just like he screwed up everything else. I mean, this is a guy who will fuck up a cup of coffee, salad, and some Eggo. You know what I mean? Jello. He'll mess it up. So what I'm saying to you is don't automatically assume that this sucker fool is somebody we should be like, oh yeah, he's great. He's no. Mm-mm. And that's what I'm trying to get everybody into the mindset. Understanding that this is not just somebody who is getting along with everyone. Now, where do the wealthy come in? Because thank you for waiting. At the end, here's the deal. Here's where the wealthy come in. There are thousands of investigators who've been fired or either left with the buyout or maybe they're retired. And they are pissed. I'm talking about from the FBI, CIA, NSA, three-letter organizations we don't even know, ATF, a whole nine. And they are consultants, freelancers. Who's hiring them? Very wealthy people. People you don't know. People I don't know. People we have never, ever talked to. And this has come my way over time, over the last 9 months since working that campaign. And proof that I see is the way in which people are looking at it. But what can they do? Because here's the thing. They can't do anything right now in this administration. But after this 3.5 years, these 41 months that happened, you're going to see some shit pop off. Remember, you heard it from good old Darren first. That's what it comes down to. Have I earned your subscription, by the way? Have I earned your subscription? If I have, thank you. Understand this. You want to hear stuff you ain't heard before on the web, you come over here to good old Darren. If you really want to hear stuff that social media would instantly block, you come over to my Clarity group, click the link in the description, and click the link on the homepage. But until then, just binge watch my content. Because I'm telling you, there are people investigating this Supreme Court, whether they're on that list or not, whether there's something else going on. There is, I can confirm one thing. There is something going on. And we're going to find out in time. Time tells all tales, y'all. Hang on with us. Hang on. We're winning. In a weird way, we are winning because he is 30-something and 130-something out of 160-plus cases of temporary injunctions, permanent injunctions, state injunctions, national injunctions, and actual cases. He's only won 30-something. He's lost 130-something, and he's got 600-plus cases to go. We're winning. We're fighting it out. There are the 23 governors and attorney generals. There are the nonprofits like the NAACP, ACLU, even American Bar Association has won 2 times in the last 33 weeks. Okay? Indivisible.org. And then there are and hundreds of organizations. I don't even know them all. Nobody does. Most people don't. And then there's the third group. The judicial branch and the lower courts are fighting for constitutional rights. And you might say, yeah, but all they got to do is send to the Supreme Court. Here's what most of you don't know. Let me help you out. This should calm you down. This is what calms down the Clarity group I talk to twice a week live. Do you know that only 1% can be seen by the Supreme Court? They can't handle those 600-plus cases. Can't handle. So there's stuff in the lower courts that are fighting back. It is a battle back and forth. We got some time, and it is ugly. I mean, they just ruled on racism. What the fuck? This is the reason you're supposed to be showing up in the courts, whether it's midterm or during the presidential election. Now you know. There were people who didn't believe this shit could happen. So this had to happen. Wasn't black folks for the most part. We know African Americans born from an enslaved people. We knew this shit was up. But there were people who didn't believe it. And I'm not saying all of the people. There were Latinos, Caribbeans, Africans, not all of them. But they did not vote in force for Kamala Harris. Asians did not vote in force for Kamala Harris. How you feel about that now? You got ICE breaking down your doors. Economy all fucked up. You didn't do it for the economy. You did it because you didn't want the black Indian woman married to the Jew. Let's talk. That's the facts, all right? Again, did I earn your subscription? Binge watch the hell out of my content, including the next video coming up. And by all means, get in my clarity group and if you're trying to get some extra money, get in my Moneymaker group. I'm talking tonight live at the Moneymakers at 7 o'clock on Sunday, 7 p.m. Central. And then I'm also talking on Wednesdays in the Moneymaker group. I'll teach you how to do what I've done for 20 years I haven't had a job in 20 years. Thank God. And I've been able to earn my own money, and you can too.